Joking, I'm joking. We got to more. So let's just jump into the off season, man. Because last year the whole quarterback controversy started more so with who's going to be better. Is it going to be CJ or is it going to be Bryce? And if you're in the Refuse to Lose NFL chat, a person said a lot about this quarterback. Said he might not make it out. Said the offensive line ain't as good as it's supposed to be. Well, did they change that this year? And if you're a fan of the Panthers, then you know where this nickname came from.
Cardiac Cats.
So we got to talk about the all-season grade, man. So Dave, let me ask you, all the moves that's been made in the NFL so far and all the moves that haven't been made, how you feel the Panthers are shaking out so far?
Honestly, I feel like they had a pretty good offseason. I think it's borderline great just because of the moves that they made to help this offensive line that needed a lot of help. They made two really great moves in the offseason, signing Damian Lewis to a 4-year, $53 million deal, and Robert Hunt, who was with the Miami Dolphins, who was looking for a big deal, got 5 years, $100 million. So they beefed up that offensive line, which is where they needed a lot of help at, because Bryce Young, oh my goodness, he got sacked over 50 times last season. I think it was
Sam Howell's right under that.
I think it was like 62. I think he got sacked 62 times last season, which is ridiculous. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Didn't have a really good rookie season. It just didn't look well. They signed Jonathan Brooks, where they drafted Jonathan Brooks 46 overall as a running back. This was their first pick of the season. Because they didn't have a first round pick because what happened when they traded to get Bryce. They wanted to get Bryce Young, but it cost them by getting Bryce Young because now they didn't have one for this year. So they didn't have a first round pick this year. But they did some really good things in this offseason. They traded for Deontay Johnson, which helped out them having a wide receiver because they needed some wide receiver help. He ranked 12th in open score in 2023 and first in 2022. So we know he's a good receiver. They traded Dante Jackson just to get Dante Johnson from the Steelers. The biggest thing, the biggest loss though, is losing Brian Burns. Brian Burns is gone. I believe with the Giants now. Out of all teams, the Giants, but hey, get your money. Get your money.
If they paying, he playing.
Exactly. Yeah, he's not putting no brand on you. Also, they signed Jadeveon Clowney, Clavon Chason, and they signed David Moore, who's pretty much just a wide receiver for like depth chart, stuff like that. So they made some pretty good moves. So from what I've been seeing, I see them giving them a B-, but I don't know if I'm gonna go that high and give them a B-. I'd probably give them like a C+, if anything. B-. I don't know, for some reason B- seems a bit too high because there wasn't like any really great playmaking moves that they made in this offseason. Although they did get there's another player that they got on defense this year. They signed from the Bills.
No, they lost.
It was Jordan Fuller. Jordan Fuller. They signed him this year. They got signed Nick Scott from the Bengals. They also got, I already talked about David Moore. They got Josie Jewell from the Broncos, Dane Jackson, and two other offensive linemen that they signed, and a D tackle. So they made some pretty good moves, but it wasn't like nothing that was like life changing, honestly. Other than the offensive line, I think I do feel like the offensive line against Deontay Johnson is going to help them out a lot, but I still think they need a lot more to be able to compete in this division. So I'll give them a C+.
See, I think a lot of people are probably giving them a B- because they went out and, like you said, they made those moves to the offensive line, and I think they went and hired a new coach. Was it Dave Canales? So I think there's one of those things where it gives you like a refresh look. I think he came from the Tampa Bay Bucks at some point.
He was I think he was the offensive coordinator or something like that, or quarterback coach or something like that.
Okay, I think so. I gotta look it up right here, but yep, he was the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Bucks. So yep, spot on. Look at Davey Schefter, man. Look, he's just off the top. All that news he be dishing out, he just be knowing the small things, man.
I be having to.
That's a fact. But I'm with you on the letter. I wouldn't go so as far as look. As soon as you say something about the Bucks,
look at the Bucks, man. Look at the Bucks.
He show right on up. But I wouldn't go I wouldn't go too high with a B minus because again, like some of the things they did actually is going to help the team, but we got to see it pan out. Now, everyone is saying we're just more so guesstimating with this team, but with the offensive line, you got to see if they actually gel because you can bring in pieces all you want, and if they don't gel, then it's not a good line. So that could still lead back to Bryce Young having issues. Of course, you went out and got him weapons. They went out and drafted outside of Keon Coleman. I think this kid right here has made the internet go crazy with just his southern accent and him saying, "I
Yeah.
don't think I'm country." Xavier Leggett.
Yeah.
And he just turning up right now. With something about these kids, man. When they get in front of the camera, they let me stop saying kids, man. Something about these guys. I guess because they're younger than me, I call them kids.
Yeah, I trust me. I know, Tomo. I get that too. I get called Unc now. It's hard to deal with now to be called Unc because it's like we used to call other guys Unc.
I don't know if y'all can see it, but there's some grades over here, so I think I can say it. So, but again, with this team, they got enough to build off of. They're building a great foundation, especially coming off the season they had. I'm not gonna go with C minus. I'm gonna give them a C. I'm gonna give them a C for their offseason moves. Again, trading Brian Burns was a big deal, but again, when it comes down to money and teams, it's like we're rebuilding. Do we want to put all our cap space on a pass rusher when we already have other guys that can fulfill that need? And technically, with the way this team is going, us having an elite pass rusher ain't gonna win us the division right now. You can have an elite pass rusher, but is that going to equate to 9 to 10 wins? Might get you 3 more, but we need our quarterback to look good. And that number 1 pick turning into Caleb Williams kind of hurt just a little bit in the size. Like Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, there's so much they helped the Bears with.
So much.
And she's like, you know what? Can we hit the reset button? And you losing safeties like Jeremy Chin and then Frankie Lavuvu. Defensive players like that also can take a hit. But we'll see what happens. For me, I'm going with a C. Hopefully this team can upgrade as far as maybe winning 2 to 3 more games than they did last year. But again, like I said, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have really much to add other than I gave him a C plus. That's it. I got not much to add.
Hey, well, we can roll right into it because